Man, I miss the 2000s era. Not just 2000s era, but 2010s as well. I remember the ads that they used to put on TV with the silhouette and the iPad commercials. And you just saw people vibing and dancing and having fun. I remember those ads. Those were good ads. I remember watching those on TV. I miss this era. I remember watching Teen Titans. Oh, that was so good. And then the Powerpuff Girls, the original, the good ones. Freaking Neon Cat flying around. We got the original Disney logo and Disney Fast Play. And I remember watching like Sonic X every Saturday morning on 4Kids. My beginning of love of just, playing Sonic games. And then there was Bleach, the anime. There was Samurai Champloo. There was Soul Eater, the animes that I got into growing up. Oh my god, I miss this era. Sergeant Frog was another anime that I really got into growing up. It's probably one of my first ones. Looking at stuff online like Chocolate Rain, playing, Wind Waker. This is probably like my favorite one. I miss Wind Waker. And then I played 10 hours of Animal Crossing because I thought it was very cute. And then I got into Grandia, more RPGs like Final Fantasy. I even saw the crappy movie. There was my love for MTV that I used to watch growing up with my cousins. And then there were shows like Daria. This is relatable. This show was always relatable to me because I felt the same way as this character. There was also shows like Malcolm in the Middle that I just did not stop watching. There was King of the Hill. Oh my god, this was just peak at the time. There was also The Simpsons, where back then when people used to watch it. And then my love for bands started to grow, and then there was Gorillaz. I still like this band. This is my all-time favorite band ever. I mean, there was other stuff like Daft Punk and Sugar Ray, and there was another band called Green Day. Who doesn't remember Green Day? Even the movies growing up, even though I didn't really understand, there was White Chicks, there was also Superbad. It was like my first M-rated movie. And then there was Mean Girls. This one I still watch sometimes. Then there was the Cat in the Hat movie that I also saw. Yeah, this movie was crap. And then there's the Diary of a Wimpy movie that came out, and I was just into that. The second one is better, by the way. I always did like the second one because of these two. There was also Scott Pilgrim. I remember getting into this. And then finding out later that there was a game about it, and I played this game non-stop. It was that fun. And then I saw movies like Shrek. 2000s had the Shrek movies. These were everything to kids. And then there was How to Train Your Dragon. And then I got steps more into 2D animation growing up. The Princess and the Frog was one of my favorite movies ever. And then came Tangled that changed everything forever. There was no more 2D, there was just 3D now. There was also the movie from Toy Story 3 that made me cry when it came out. I remember the Game Boy back when I used to have one, and then I guess I lost it. I don't remember. But yeah, I used to play games on it, just crappy, weird games. And then I used to play, Tomodachi Life on the 3DS when I got one. And I remember the Wii when I used to play it, and I used to play Wii Sports, and then there was another game. Smash Brothers Brawl was actually my favorite Smash Brothers game, and then there was also Kingdom Hearts. I was actually 16 when I got into this, but it's still part of my childhood. Then there's Everybody Hates Chris. This and Malcolm in the Middle was everything to me. The Last Airbender. How can I forget The Last Airbender? Zuko's redemption arc, and then there's The Legend of Korra, the sequel. This one was meh. Then there's Steven Universe. Back when I used to like it, but mostly it was from the musicals. And then there's SpongeBob. How can anybody forget SpongeBob? And then there's The Fairly Odd Parents. This was also great. Back when I used to have a DS, I used to play Chrono Trigger. This was actually my first RPG game. It's still one of my favorite ones. Then there's Dragon Ball Z when it came out on Nicktoons. I remember sending messages to my friend on the DS because I didn't have a phone back then. Yeah, instead of texting on phones, we had to do this. And then there was the Flipnote Studio that I used to draw and watch these animations. I miss watching these. These were good. And how can anybody forget that tragic era that happened in 2001? Yeah, there was a lot of war during the East during that time. And then there's the Tamagotchis. I remember having these, and then I lost them the next day. Then the CDs we used to collect. Some of them were my brother's, but I still listen to them. I used to listen to stuff like Paramore, mostly Radiohead. And then there's the 64. I remember playing The Legend of Zelda on it. And then we used to rent videos. And then Netflix came along. And I remember like these small TVs. I actually like these. We used to buy our games at GameStop, and now we do it on Amazon. We also did the same thing with Blockbuster. So yeah, we rented movies there too. Then there's the 3DS games that I used to play, and then some of them were boring as fuck. And then the Saw movies, like they milked them so much I had to see one of them. And that plot twist at the end of the first movie was just so cinema. I remember Project X, Like when that movie came out, it was like one of the biggest party movies ever. It's whatever. We can't forget the beginning of Facebook, and there's also MySpace, and even though MySpace was first, I never really used some of these. I thought they were boring. I'm sure people from my generation actually did use it. You guys remember Let It Go? That movie was... I didn't like this movie. And then there's the first Despicable Me. The beginning of Illumination. The first good one. Remember the Reese's Puffs ad with the black kid? This was a vibe. Remember all the movies that came out like Chicken Little? And there was other movies like Over the Hedge. There was also movies like Madagascar. Basically a bunch of furry movies were coming out in 2000s. Back at the Barnyard was also one of them. Surf's Up, played a lot of Sugar Ray music. Chicken Joe was the best character in that movie. That was the best character. There is also Lilo and Stitch. Kung Fu Panda was one of those furry movies that really got me into furries. The Tinkerbell movie that I only saw like once and never again. There's also Treasure Planet. Underrated movie. There's also Bolt. I thought this one was actually okay. It's not that bad. Phineas Ferb I only saw once in my life, but I still remember it. Wall-E, that's unforgettable. Then there was this older show, basically Sailor Moon, but for American kids. Winx Club was basically anything a girl will watch at that time. Yes, I used to play with toys too. I used to play with Sticky Hands. I used to play with Bratz. Instead of Barbies, I used to play with that instead. Yeah, I used to play with toys too, not just video games. We cannot forget the most important thing about the 2000s and 2010s. The fashion. The fashion, either you dressed up as a punk, an emo, or some kind of slut, but you know, it's like one of them. I used to dress up as an emo kid. I was like one of those emo kids. I used to dress up all sloppy and stuff. But that was the fashion at the time. I still like this type of fashion nowadays. I miss this type of fashion. I prefer this fashion than the shit that we have today. Yeah, the 2000s was basically the peak of grunge genre. Remember iCarly? I used to watch that when I was a kid. I remember the memes that came out, like Epic Face. I remember spending a bunch of time on DeviantArt when I was a little girl. Yeah, DeviantArt was something else back then. I remember Sonic 06. When I played it, it was just trash. I remember the other game that was also trash during that time. Remember this? Nobody wanted this. Remember when the celebrities died? When Michael Jackson passed away, everybody was sobbing. Yeah, this was a big deal for a lot of people, even me. Robin Williams died too. This was just too much for me. Gene Wilder died. He's probably one of my favorite actors ever. I kind of wish I could go back. But, you know, we gotta move on.